Hello friends, it's been a while since my video upload because I was in Hawaii for a business trip. And for this business trip, we have some exciting things coming up in the future. Partnering up with two nonprofits in the area. Number one is Spill the Tea Cafe, which is a safe space for LGBTQ teenagers in Hawaii. And the second is Fight Story, which is mental health nonprofit for fighters in Hawaii. And when I say fighters, I mean literal MMA fighters, right? And for the first nonprofit, Spill the Tea Cafe, I've been already working with them for almost a year now. And but Fight Story, this relationship is very new, and I got to learn more about the organization and why there is a need for it through the founder and the legend in the female MMA field, Angela Lee, who competed in one championship in Asia with her sister, Victoria Lee. And Angela is now the founder of Fight Story, and through her experience in competitive fighting, she saw firsthand how much there is a lack of discourse around mental health within the fighting industry, right? And of course, the fighting industry is an industry where you literally try to kill each other with fists, and it's a very stressful field. But now, on top of that, you have people in Hawaii who don't have a lot of opportunities like the mainland. So fighting becomes like a very many things to gain, many things to lose kind of a situation, right? You may be a talented MMA fighter in Hawaii, but if you get injured, then your career just kind of needs to sit for a while not doing anything. But if you win, if you're like Max Holloway, and if you win really big and you win, the fight of the night bonuses and things like that in the UFC, then you have a lot to gain, right? So this kind of big gain, big potential loss is kind of a guarantee for stress. And when you are stressed, your performance is impacted. And now, this is just talking about everything in life being constant. There are no curveballs. Everything goes. Everything outside of the fight is just kind of steady. But no, life can always throw you around, right? You may have a partner that you have a fight with. You may have a family member that just suddenly fell sick, and you may be in some financial struggles because you don't have a fight coming up and things like that. So it's basically the everyone's prone to these types of mental health stress issues, but on top of that, you're in a very stressful kind of a field, on top of that, with a lot to gain and a lot to lose. So moreover, the fighters are very reluctant to access the mental health services, because if word gets around, right? Because MMA fighting is kind of a small field as well. So if they know that, oh, this guy's going to therapy, this girl's going to therapy, oh man, she must be weak in the head, and people try to tough it up, right? And so it's not just the athletes that are trying to tough it up, but it's in the mentality of the parents and the coaches who are working with these athletes, right? They encourage the athletes to just toughen it up and just train it out. Don't be so weak like that, without recognizing that mental health is as important, or perhaps more important, than physical health, right? Because when mental health is bad, then your physical performance is significantly impacted. In baseball, there's the case of the yips, right? How these professional baseball players who've been throwing balls all their life suddenly lose the ability to throw a ball. It's called the yips. And just like that, mental health can have that kind of an impact. But when your mental health is good, right, then it works the other way. Your training becomes a lot more effective. Even inside the fight, you're present, and so on, right? So now, with all of this said, let's really talk about the biggest stress of them all: winning versus losing, right? So this video is more or less for the athletes that compete. And that's why I'm primarily making this video. But also, the topic of winning and losing sort of tends to apply to everyone globally, regardless of whether you're a competitive athlete or not. So, winning or losing, what is it? Right? Of course, we all want to win when there is a competition, right? And one way to look at the winning and losing is when we win, we become a winner. And the title of a winner is something that we strive to be. On the other hand, perhaps there's more weight on this. When you lose, there's this title of a loser. And perhaps more than our desire to be a winner, there's a very big desire to not be a loser. Human psychology tends to favor loss aversion, right? If it's the same amount that we can potentially gain or potentially lose, instead of going for the potential gain, if it's a one or the other choice, we like to choose the prevention of the same amount. So that's how psychology generally tends to work. So every fight, we have an opportunity. There's a chance that we are a loser. And of course, that doesn't feel good, right? We don't want to be losers. But on top of that, add all the financial things like before, like I said, right? It just becomes really a stressful situation. But now, here's the thing. When you're a professional athlete, or you are training to become one, how many bouts are you going to have? You're going to have a lot of bouts, regardless of your division, in order to compete at the top level. For example, the UFC. You have to go through your local fighting rings, and then you have to go through, some fighting organizations that may be a little less prestigious than the UFC or whatever. Maybe you dabble in some, jiu-jitsu competition, boxing competition. You go to Thailand and you compete in some Muay Thai and things like that. But this is another thing that Angela said. Even at the top, at the UFC, where they're kind of the cream of the crop of this sport, the pay is so ridiculously small compared to other top level athletes playing different sports, right? And this is even weirder because MMA is sort of a popular sport. It's not like this soccer in America, right? Where it's like, yeah, popular anywhere else, but in America it's just really, no one really cares about it, these types of things. So MMA is just kind of, everybody at least knows about MMA, right? And so for a sport that's this big, the pay is a big issue. But coming back to the main topic, you're gonna have a lot of bouts. But the thing is, if every one of these bouts matter to you because you can't be a loser, then think of how stressful your entire career is going to be. Your entire career will be full of potential chances to be loser. And when you look at competition, when you look at your career that way, it becomes this really taxing thing, right? So, when we look at the trajectory of our career, when we look at the things we want to do for a prolonged amount of time because we are passionate about it in our lives, it's important to not look at the things that we go through, the rituals that we go through as challenges all the time. Of course, it's up to you to sometimes make things matter a little bit more, right? If it's like the championship belt, then you may be able to give a little bit more, like 110% or 200% for everything. But the thing is, if you don't know how to navigate the losses, if you don't understand that in the end, winning or losing is a side effect. Winning or losing is a side effect of participating in something that you enjoy doing. if you enjoy coin flipping, heads or tails are the outcome, right? If you enjoy rolling dice, 1 through 6 is your outcome. It's your potential outcome, right? So just like that, winning or losing is just one of the two potential outputs. And this may sound very unrealistic to you, but whether you win or lose is really not that important, because a lot of the things, so you may be the most well trained and well equipped, but if you're in MMA, you never know that you're just gonna slip one timing and then you're gonna get knocked out. This can happen, right? Or you may feel like you're severely outmatched, but then, so who knows? They may be having a really bad diarrhea and they're severely dehydrated and they're off their groove. Or they may have had some devastating news from their end, right? So in that case, you never know when these things are going to happen. We like to think that in a one-on-one situation, everything is fixed and it's just about the ability. But no, it is a lot of the things. There are so many extra variables when it comes to the potential of winning and losing. So the important thing is, you engage in training every day so that you can get the opportunity, so that you maximize your chances, right? There's a very big difference between you not being fit enough to go to round 5 versus you going to round 5, giving it your all, and then letting it be a decision. There's a very big difference there, right? So we train. We train this sport. We participate in this sport we love so that we can keep going. And that is the importance of training, right? And that is how we look at the phrase train like you are competing and compete like you are training, right? As Buddhists, we are interested in the middle way. So, in training, we develop our sense to go beyond our perceived limits. We don't try to do that for the first time in competitions, right? So that way, because we are used to overcoming our struggles in the training room, in the competition setting, you can intelligently tell whether this is time to tap try to go for the next bout. There's always gonna be a next bout, right? Or if you feel like this is not the time to tap, you're gonna fight it out a little bit more, even if you're potentially gonna get choked out and things like that. So what I'm really trying to summarize here is that winning or losing is a side effect of participating in this thing that you love. So more important than focusing on the next immediate win, the more important thing is going back to the training room today to do something that you love, and then everything else follows as a result, right? Even if you get knocked out or severely injured and you have to retire after bout number 1, the work that you have put in the training room will carry over. You can be a coach, you can write a book, and the discipline that you developed can help you transition into a different field. So even if you don't participate in the sport as a competitive athlete, there are so many ways to continue engaging in the art that you love. If you are an athlete, I would love for you to look at your life and your career from a long lens. And that is how you have a peaceful and a happy career, instead of challenge after challenge, and you overcome one struggle and then the next one comes and it's yet another opportunity to lose, and then oh my god, you finally made it through it, but there's always the next one, and then oh my god, I trained so hard for the last one, I don't want to go through that again, but so much lies on my shoulder. I want you to have a happy career, and for a happy career, it's important to recognize you're doing this because you love the sport.